Welcome to the MS Dev Show, episode number 138. This week we talk with David Catuhe about 3D for the web using Babylon.js. Microsoft earnings are on fire. Someone has invented a car for a goldfish. And Carl stocks up on 16 terabyte hard drives.
This episode of the MS Dev Show is brought to you by Expose, the market leader of .NET and Java APIs for file business formats. Natively work with DocX, XSLX, PPT, PDF, MSG, MPP, image formats, and many more.
This week we have David Catuhe, Principal Program Manager at Microsoft, creator of the podcasting app Cast, creator of Babylon.js, huge fan of Magic the Gathering, and he recently created the app Collecto. How's it going, David?
I'm doing perfectly well. Thank you guys for the invitation.
Yeah, I should say welcome back, because I know the last time you were on, I was like, hey, we should have you on for Babylon.js, and I commented before the show, you now you have this new app Collecto, so every time you come on, you give us an idea for the next show. So
perfect. Invitation accepted. Perfect.
Awesome. Carl, what do we have for the comment of the week?
We have another comment on our Stack Overflow podcast. It was on Twitter from Michael Toner. He was just listening to the episode, and he was kind of shocked that there's 0 stored procedures at Stack Overflow. Yeah. And kind of because of that, he's now checking out Dapper, their ORM that they've created after finding a few performance issues with Link to SQL.
Yeah.
And they are still using some Link to SQL. I was saw that today on Twitter from Nick. Yeah, he mentioned that they still have some spots that are using it. So
Dapper looks really cool though. I think it's a super lightweight. Basically, you can write like queries directly against like a SQL connection and SQL Reader and all that kind of stuff. They've basically put just like a tiny lightweight wrapper on top of that has some useful features that you don't use all the time. And it's a really cool ORM. I would say for most people, like Link to SQL, like that performance penalty is worth it because it's a little bit easier to use, but it's just cool that they have it.
Yeah, so if you want to get mentioned on the show, like Michael did, send us an email to feedback@msdevshow.com, comment on Facebook, YouTube, or Stitcher. We especially like those 5-star iTunes reviews.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we'll have to check those again soon. Okay, so let's jump into the news. So we don't have a whole lot. Some pretty simple news here, but worth mentioning nonetheless. So the first one here, this one, I read it, and then I saw a familiar face at the bottom, but it's called "You Are Responsible for Telling Your Story."
Yeah, this one came from Jess Borland. She's a coworker of mine, and she's been on the show before.
Yep.
She noticed that, it's kind of like annual review time. It's the beginning of the year. A lot of people are getting their yearly reviews. And, just as kind of a reminder, like when it comes time for this, your boss isn't going to go out of their way to like make sure that you are as well represented as possible. It's up to us individually when we have these times. We need to craft our story so it sounds good, it's specific, it crafts the message that we want to hear for whatever it is we want. Some people, want to get a promotion, more money, more vacation, whatever it may be. We all have our goals, and really at the end of the day, we're the one driving our own career cart. And if we're not, then we're being pulled by somebody else.
Yep.
So
yeah, I would say what's interesting, if you have a true annual review, which I think is too long. like David, we do video, by the way. So for our video,
yeah, someone tried to enter my office.
No, that's fine. So for the video viewers, they it's just kind of amusing. You have to go watch video. But anyway, what I was saying is if you are at a place where they do annual reviews, like first of all, that's way too long. But if that happens, like, yeah, you really have to be diligent in keeping records, because a year ago, I mean, that's a long time. That's like an eternity in this world. So keep track of those things you did back in the early part. But yeah, to her point, tell a story, which I never had thought about doing. I have different advice, but I think that's great advice. One thing that I put it in the comments, or in her comment, I commented on her post. I don't know if it's been moderated yet, but I'd love to have her come up with like some examples. And I don't know if she wants to post hers, but I would love to see like, here's like what it normally looks like, and here's what it looks like told in a story. So that's my request out to her. So we'll see if she does that and updates her post. But either way, like I thought it was super creative. So good job, Jess. Someone has invented a car for goldfish that can be driven around by its position in the tank. Speaking of useless IoT.
So you call it useless. I call this awesome. I mean, this is obviously somebody's way to experiment with some IoT. Obviously, they have some sort of sensor that can tell where this goldfish is in the tank. And there's an animated GIF. Go to the show notes and check it out. It's kind of cool. And wherever the relative position is that the fish is in the tank, it steers this cart in that direction. So it's kind of simple, but yet, the skills that you get from doing a project like this are immense. You learn so much when you do things like this, things that you normally don't do on a day-to-day project, unless you normally build robots that can steer based upon environmental input. But I think it's cool just to check out. It's just a short animated GIF on Twitter, but
we should probably talk about the tech.
I think it's worth.
Yeah, so there's like a camera on a pole, right? So it looks down at the fish, which is, I think, a pretty clever way of doing it, because then you can see you can basically translate that into XY coordinates. I think it's kind of obvious where the fish is. There's probably some contrast detection there. And then it looks like there's some kind of computer underneath. The only thing is, I wonder, I don't see any sensors on there. So like, how do they keep it from running into something, like spilling over?
So if you can't tell, they also are running this in a ginormous area.
Yeah.
So like a gymnasium or something. So it's a little bit easier if you don't have to have those constraints either.
Yeah. This is a stupid question, non-technical. Does the fish have any clue that this is happening?
It's probably really confused because it looks like it's sloshing around quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if the fish is just in a panic because everything's moving and then just making it move more. And I don't know. I guess I'm not a goldfish biologist. So, let's see here. Oh, this one's good news for us, David. Microsoft blows past estimates in every category and beats the street. Good. Did you see there was an earnings call yesterday?
Yeah, I appreciate this kind of news.
Yeah. Make that stock price.
So speaking of annual reviews, it's time to ask for that raise now.
Correct.
Well, no, it's kind of too late at this point. Well, yeah, this would be a good time, but in the past, just hopefully you got lots of stock because it's all going up right now. No, this is great. I mean, I do a lot of stuff in Azure, and a lot of this is being driven by the cloud and the work that we're doing there. It's a huge success. The success I'm seeing with partners. I mean, I went from 3 years ago, people saying like, I don't know about this whole cloud thing, to like, okay, we're interested, let's start talking about it. Now it's like they're banging down the door, like, okay, I'm all in. How do I do it? And now it's just a matter of how. It's not a matter of why. Like, we're totally, for the most part, we're past those discussions. I'm sure that not everybody is on that same place in that journey, but it's just an awesome place to be in right now.
Yeah, the one thing that's mentioned in this post that 90% or Azure made a 96% growth, which already was a very large share of Microsoft already, and to have that kind of growth is just at this stage, it's still kind of early tech, but it's out of the cloud providers, it's neck and neck with Amazon. So to have that kind of growth in this kind of market says quite a bit.
Yeah. I don't even know if it's early though. I mean, I don't know if I mean, if you look at obviously like a 50-year time horizon it is, but the thing is like, Azure, the first, and I would say pretty terrible incarnation of it was back in 2007, 2008, 2009, somewhere around that time period. So really it's like, we're like a decade in, a couple missteps along the way, but I think it has such a clear vision now. And I think that's what people are seeing. Like it makes sense to everybody. It makes sense from a business perspective, from like an economics perspective. Like just the stars are all in alignment now, and it's just going to keep getting better and better. I mean, I don't know. I guess I can't say like buy lots of Microsoft stock, but yeah, buy lots of Microsoft stock. Yeah, but is that like an SEC violation? I have no idea. Don't listen to me. And then Seagate will bring 16 terabyte hard drive to market within 18 months. We should have talked about this before the cloud. So gigantic hard drives.
So, there's obviously that's, a statement about how we're pushing the edges of technology, but there's a few nuggets of information in here that I thought were kind of interesting. They said today they already have 10 terabyte drives that are about $500, which a little pricey, but not too bad. But the very last sentence of this article really kind of perked my interest. It says that Seagate is pushing that the minimum drive sold in laptops and in computers is they want to raise to the 1 terabyte level. And, I think that's really important because even though we have a lot of stuff like cloud storage, a lot of stuff like OneDrive really wants to sync a lot of stuff back to you to have a local copy. And so still having large hard drives has a certain place for certain things, especially when you want to have your music collection or, you have a lot of media or other things that do get synced back and forth between these. I recently got a hardware upgrade at work, and the SSD that came in, it's 512 gigs, which is plenty for average dev work. But by the time you sync all of your source code and dev files and you link your personal OneDrive and you accidentally sync all of your pictures from eternity on there, it fills up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Not that I did that, but
no, of course not. So, but here's the problem I have with that. I love the statement, but the problem is we're actually making the SSD. I mean, because they don't specify SSDs, right? So all they're doing.
No, I think this is a spinning Rust one.
Yeah. So that's my biggest problem with it. I would rather have a smaller drive that is SSD. Yeah. I mean, it just even in cheap laptops, I just cannot condone to anybody to buy a machine without a solid state drive. So feel free to disagree, but I own one computer that doesn't have an SSD. And whenever that Windows update comes down, the one day it was sitting there for a half hour or something, what is wrong with this computer? This is an i7. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I didn't put an SSD in it because it's a kitchen computer. It really doesn't matter. Once the thing is booted, so I kind of get it from that standpoint, but still it just destroys my experience. If that thing would have had a 128 gig SSD, 256 gig SSD, that computer would be so much better than what it is. And I keep talking about replacing it, but I don't know.
Well, I have a PC that I've had since Vista was new, and the only thing I've really done to it, other than upgrade the operating system, is it's on its second solid state drive, exactly. and it's still chugging along. And in fact, my kids prefer that one to the newer one that's sitting right next to it.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, so that's all we had for the news. So let's get to the good stuff. Let's talk to David. Because he's got this really cool project. So I guess, first of all, what is Babylon.js?
Okay. So what is Babylon.js? Babylon.js is a 3D engine that I wrote for JavaScript initially, and it's still now for JavaScript, but we are using TypeScript to build it. And the goal of Babylon.js is to allow any JavaScript developer, or I would say any web developer, to create 3D scene, 3D experience, without having to deal with shaders, GPU memories, and all the complexity of dealing with the 3D world, like mathematics, vectors, matrices, this kind of stuff. The goal is with a few lines of code, like 1 to 10, you should be able to display a rotating cube with a texture on it.
And that's kind of like the hello world of 3D, isn't it?
It's clearly the entry point, yes. Then you can expand your skills and do more stuff with Babylon.js. We used to work with Ubisoft, for instance, on a version of Assassin's Creed for the web. So you can create a full game with it, but we really think about it as as something that you need. If you want to use it, it's extremely easy to use. Simplicity is foundation for Babylon.js.
So literally, if I wanted to do Hello World in 3D, that would actually be way more difficult, wouldn't it?
Yes, definitely. I'm pretty sure. You have to deal with so many stuff.
That's very interesting. I'll have to write another thing so that I can convert text into 3D objects. I'm sure that exists.
Think about that. Yes, creating a 3D text, it's not that easy.
That's pretty funny. So what does the code actually look like? Is it something that mortals like me can understand?
If you're a developer, you can still clearly understand it. If you're a C# developer, for instance, because we are now using TypeScript, it's pretty readable. TypeScript is, I would say, the cuisine of C# and JavaScript. It's
right. Close
to both of them. The main pain point if you deal with JavaScript when you are a C# developer is that there is no type. And that could be really something complicated for you. TypeScript fixed that. They introduced typing.
Right. So you must use interfaces then in TypeScript so that I can pass in JavaScript objects and you basically look for certain properties. Is that how you're actually doing that?
We try to provide typings for every entities. So
Okay.
we have a interface, we call that a
Yeah.
mixin, that describe how the object is. Actually, yes, in JavaScript there is no description, and you can add a property at any time, or remove one, or add a
Yeah.
function, or remove it. That's extremely dynamic and extremely powerful for this specific reason. But it's also a little bit scary if you are a C# developer, because you are not ready to have an object that could be that
Yeah.
dynamic.
Yeah. Unbuckle the seatbelt and sit on top of the car and
Yeah. Looking at 100 miles per hour, yes, that's...
yeah. So this is interesting to me. So first of all, the reason I asked that is because, and this is really like a TypeScript discussion, but that is one of the cool things about TypeScript, I think, is that it has this concept of interfaces, and it's a little bit different than other languages because you can literally say in your interface, like, hey, I need a first name and an age. And then in JavaScript, you could pass in an object, and as long as it has those two properties, it doesn't matter what it is, it works.
It's a contract. It's exactly a contract.
Yeah, it's a contract. Yeah,
provide
exactly.
more
Yeah.
as long as you provide this.
Yeah. It's
If you think about C#, it's also the same. It's an interface. You can have two classes implementing the same interface, providing different properties and methods.
I guess the difference is in C# you actually have to say, hey, my class implements this interface. It's not just implied.
Yeah, it's not live. Yeah, we don't discover that live.
They should add that to C#. That'd be a cool feature. Anyway, what I wanted to ask you then, so I think that's really cool that it's in TypeScript. So because I think the advantage you get, right? Like I could write my code in TypeScript, which I would love, and then I'm like in this full safe system, or if I'm in JavaScript. I've unbuckled the seatbelt and I'm going 100 miles an hour, but I still get the IntelliSense, right? Like the IntelliSense is all free because it's inferring it from the TypeScript types.
Correct. And a lot of people are using Visual Studio Code with typings from TypeScript to just get this IntelliSense support, which is great.
Okay, very cool. Awesome.
So you mentioned that Babylon.js is a web technology. So why did you go about creating this instead of using something like WebGL directly?
That's a good question. Simplicity. Obviously, simplicity. If you want to deal with WebGL, it's like, let's say you are a C# developer and I ask you, please deal with DirectX. So it's something that you could do, obviously, but you then have to learn shader languages, how a GPU works, how we can interact between GPU, CPU. You have to learn all the DirectX API. You have to understand how 3D works in real time. That's a lot of stuff. That's not impossible, but the time that will be spent between now and the moment you will be able to display a rotating cube is like in weeks or months.
Yeah, I went out and I looked at I had never even looked at how WebGL worked, but I saw like a lot of matrix stuff, a lot of matrix math, and I was like, whoa, no, thank you.
It's extremely comparable to DirectX. You have to deal with the really low end. Yeah, you're really close to the metal. You are at the metal level almost, where Babylon.js try to encapsulate that and provide you we have features like Tweetbox. And we deal with everything: implementation, memory exchange, optimization, generating shaders for you, etc. And from your point of view, it's like it's literally one line of code, Tweetbox.
That's pretty cool. So who is the target audience then?
Any developer, any web developer that wants to do 3D.
Okay, that's pretty simple.
I can give you some reference that we have. So we used to work with game development like Ubisoft, but it's also Babylon.js is used by US Army for some simulations.
Oh, cool.
It's used by movie maker because they want to have special effects representation live. It's used for schools. It's used for a lot of stuff, architectural stuff, etc. It depends. Anytime you need 3D on the web, which is pretty often actually, then Babylon.js can be used.
Aspose offers a powerful set of file management APIs with which developers can create applications, which can create, open, edit, and save the majority of popular business file formats. Their product range supports a multitude of file formats, including Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, PDF documents, OneNote, Outlook, Project, Visio files, popular image formats, and many others. Aspose produces APIs for .NET, Java in the cloud, which can be utilized in almost any modern language available today. Visit www.aspose.com for a free 30-day no limitations trial. And if you get stuck, message the friendly support team for help. All technical support is offered free of charge. Remember, if you're a lucky winner, you will receive a free developer small business license for Aspose.words for .NET, a powerful toolkit to work with Word documents in your applications. So, can I, if I already have like 3D assets, can I bring any kind of 3D asset in already? Or is there some way that I have to convert them to use them in a way that Babylon likes?
So we have two responses for this specific question. The first one, you can bring your asset as long as they are in the list of supported importers that we already have. So the world of 3D is a wide space. It's a war. Every company try to enforce their own format because they consider it better than others. There is no JSON for the 3D, like no obvious way to describe something in the 3D world. So there are some experiments so far with the GLTF format, which is a format we are supporting, but companies can work with FBX, OBJ, any kind of 3ds, any kind of format. So the goal with Babylon.js was first try to support the major one. So if you have an asset and that you produce it with, I don't know, Maya or 3ds Max, that's okay. We can load it. For everything else, we are supporting directly the 3D asset tools like 3ds Max, Blender 3D, Cinema 4D, Unity 3D. So if your assets are inside this tool, then we can export them to Babylon.js.
Okay, so I can probably get it in there. Then, like, how is that actually stored then? Like, how can I modify it somehow? Like, let's say I want a coffee cup and I want to like have a 3D view of it, and I don't know, I want to put the MS Dev Show logo on it. Let's say.
Good idea.
Yeah. So I bring the cup in. Obviously, doing that is probably not difficult because I can actually just add the label on the outside. But if I wanted to make the cup taller or something like that, I mean, is that something I can do through JavaScript, or do I have to change the model?
No, you can do both. Okay. Actually. If the level of modification is not that high, you just want to scale it on one axis, that's fine. We every object that we support provide scaling, rotation, and position property. So you say my object dot scaling dot y star equal 3, and then it's gonna be 3 times bigger on y-axis. That's done. If you want to integrate, I don't know, elephant ears on it, or like adding stuff really complicated, then my suggestion would be to use a 3D tool like 3ds Max, Unity, or whatever, and then re-export it to Babylon.js.
Okay.
It's more about convenience, actually, if you want to spend time doing your change or just doing that quickly.
Well, it's because it's sort of like declarative versus code, right? Like your model is declarative, and then you don't want to necessarily represent all that in code, right?
Yep.
Okay.
But you can, if you want, you can just open the car and just check at the engine, and even open the engine and check how the engine works. Everything is open source and free, so you can modify whatever you want. It depends on what's your goal.
Okay.
So I was wondering if you had some good examples of people who are using Babylon online that we could go check out and get inspiration from.
We have that. And actually, that's one of my motto. The code is only 50% of your work. The other 50% is letting people know that what they can do with your tool. So if you go to babylonjs.com, you will find a list of demonstrations. We try to capture the biggest one. So, for instance, we have several demonstrations done by National Geographic. National Geographic, they're creating TV shows. One about animals in Africa, another one about how to conquer Mars. And for both TV shows, they are providing companion experience on the web, and they are using Babylon.js for that. We have different companies using Babylon.js to promote or highlight several tools. And here at Microsoft, we are using Babylon.js for the Remix 3D website, on the Xbox website as well, where you can customize your gamepad with your colors or whatever. It's using Babylon.js. The Huffington Post is using it to display 3D videos, etc.
I wasn't listening. I'm playing this prosecution game. This is super fun.
Yeah.
Have you played this
game,
one? It's like a plane on a sphere.
Yeah. It was so this game was the winning game of gaming school.
Oh, okay.
And perhaps the name is not very.
Like how much code goes into something like this then?
Oh, this one it should be like 400 line of code, I guess.
Oh wow. Yeah, this is awesome. I love it. This is super fun.
What game is that again, Jason?
Prosecution. Do you see it on the front page there? I see it below the watch demo.
Yep.
Yeah, so play that. You just use the arrow keys to fly around and you got to avoid the missiles.
The fifth one, the one named Ruins.
Yeah.
There is 0 line of code. Actually, just one to load the scene. Everything regarding this scene, from the point of view of the developer, was done inside 3ds Max.
Really? So
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a stupid question. So if I was just using WebGL, is there a way to do that or not? Or that's the whole.
Obviously, there is, because we are doing it.
Well, right. But I mean, like, it wouldn't be one line of code in WebGL, right?
No. Actually, you can count in hundreds of thousands of lines of code. And
wow.
It's not just about the 3D itself. It's also about portability and compatibility. We make sure that it works on iPhone, Android, Windows Phone, on tablet, on PC, on Mac, on Linux, on every browser out there, Firefox, Chrome, every version. It's a lot of time working on compatibility and being able to be really the real one, the real cross-platform stuff.
Yeah, this Ruins one is what's amazing is on my Surface Book, it's running at 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic.
And this one was produced 100% without code, just using 3ds Max.
That's pretty amazing. I'm really distracted. You play that game, Carl?
I had to turn it off because I was blaring some pretty awesome music in my head.
Oh, that's funny. That's pretty good. Anyway.
If you so the website is organized this way. You have first demonstration of users using the application, and then you have a second part, which is features, and you can then try only a single feature of Babylon.js, so collisions, cloud simulation, HDR maps, refraction, shadows, blah, blah, blah.
Cool. Those are cool. I'm looking at the collision one. That's pretty cool. And then facet data. These are super awesome. Yeah, this really shows the power. Oh wow! Try that facet data one there, Carl. It's like spaghetti flying through the air with a whole bunch of
M&M's.
M&M's hitting it. Pouring M&M's on spaghetti, a simulation. Anyway, 4 hours later. So how does this run on like lower power devices? Like my Surface Book happens to have a GPU. You mentioned it runs on phones. Does it run? I mean, like, will this run at like 60 frames per second on my phone, or how's that work?
It depends on the scene. We provide tools to help you reduce the complexity of your scene. So there is an automatic way. So for instance, if we detect that you are not running at 60 frames per second, we can try to reduce the quality of textures, or we can try to reduce the complexity of the simulation if you are running the physics simulation, or we try to turn off some advanced features like highlights or refraction, which are pretty expensive. We also try to reduce the resolution of the rendering. We are not forced to render a full resolution. We can do, look at that, 60 frames per second.
Yep. There we go. If you're on video, you can see the M&M and spaghetti demo.
On your phone.
This one is clearly easy on the CPU.
Yeah.
And it's a Windows phone, right?
Sure. No, this is an iPhone.
It works on iPhone. Yeah, the iPhone has a pretty powerful.
It's the iPhone 7, which is kind of ridiculously overpowered.
Yes, but even if you run that on a smaller phone like the Nokia 435 that I have here, you are running at 30 frames per second, which is great.
Wow, that's
we
pretty
reduce the frame rate a little bit to ensure fluidity. So, and it's done for you under the hood. You don't have to care about it. If you don't want to think about it, you are not forced to. If you want to try to hijack that and do some precise stuff, obviously you can. It's not a closed engine. You can do whatever you want. But by default, our motto is fundamentally simplicity.
Very cool.
So can Babylon take advantage of GPUs to help accelerate some of the processing, or is it limited to...
It's all about GPU.
Okay.
Well, this one works on the phone too. Look at this. 60 frames per second playing this game, and you just move your finger back and forth. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're good at this game.
Well,
you're avoiding all missiles.
I'm not even. Yeah, I wasn't even looking at the screen, man. I have to look at my computer screen, which is going through the webcam, which is showing that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm going to package that up in game and start selling that for $1.99.
And that's the idea, actually. We try to, for me, the real response when you ask me what's the best cross-platform tool, whatever it is, it's the web. And even for game here, you can see for not big AAA game, obviously, but for AA or simple A games, you can use the web. It works everywhere. You just have to spend a little bit of time on it. But
okay.
And I believe I've seen you given a demo where you've actually taken this and used it as a hosted web app as well.
Correct. We work with our friend Jeff Bertoft. He's leading the PWA, the new progressive web app initiative for Microsoft. So you can take the game that Jason showed us just right now, and embed that inside the PWA builder, and you have an app that can run on any store. Google Play, Apple Store, Windows Store.
Wow, this is a cool way to make games.
Yep, it's a good way to make games and just write it once.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's in store for the future of this?
So we are working on version 2.6, which is a minor version. We are fixing bugs and adding minor stuff. The biggest one will be version 3.0. We will introduce WebGL 2 support.
Okay.
So far we are supporting WebGL 1, which works almost everywhere. WebGL 2 it's like DirectX 12 versus DirectX 9. Really advanced feature, a lot of stuff, but not really cross-platform. It's gonna work for now only on Chrome and Firefox for at least the next year.
Okay.
But we want to support it because if you as a developer you just want to work on desktop, why not? And not support the mobile branch, that's fine. And you can then take advantage of new features that bring WebGL to it's faster and smoother.
Okay, cool. Anything else you want to mention that we didn't go over?
Just one thing, we also support WebVR. WebVR, so if you have an Oculus Rift or HTC Vive or even a Game Gear, no, it's not Game Gear, sorry, it's the Gear VR.
Gear VR.
It's supported basically with one line of code. You just turn on WebVR with just one line of code, and that works directly. You don't have to think about projecting to two different eyes and computing the matrices. No, it's free.
That's awesome. Now, is that a feature of WebGL, or is that something you guys built?
So we base our work on the WebVR stuff. So Edge, Chrome, Firefox are it.
Okay.
So they provide for us the abstraction to the hardware, as always with the web. And then on top of that, we built the camera stuff. We also support, and we are the only engine to do that, the HoloLens. Mm-hmm. So you can build a game with Babylon.js for HoloLens as well if you want.
Okay, very cool. Now, whenever you say we, like who's involved in this project?
So as Microsoft is, we are 4 people. So there is David Rousset, Sebastian Vanderberg, and Etienne Rousset who are working with me. And I have a big, strong community. I would say 10 really core people from the community. They are working all over the world. That helps us a lot. It's open source, so that's the cool stuff of the open source community. You provide something, they help you evaluate, adding more stuff on it.
Yeah, it's a cycle.
Yeah, it's clearly a virtuous circle.
Yeah, exactly.
And not a virtual one.
Okay. This is really cool. I need to come up with a use. I need to come up with something that I need to use this for, because I really want to play around with this some more.
We have a playground. If you go to Babylon.js.com.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, you can hit try, I think?
Yes, and it's live. It's directly in your browser. You have nothing to install. You can just play with it.
Yeah. That is very.
We have sample on the upper right corner where you can choose advanced feature, and you can see immediately the code required to do that. So I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, look at that. Oh yeah, like particles, and then I can see the code. So yeah, about less than 100 lines of code to do like particle physics.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, definitely. You have the shadows one where there is dynamic shadows on top of a ground. It's like 69 lines.
Oh, that's cool. It's like it's a inner tube that's flying above a mountain.
Yeah. And then you can play with it. You can change whatever you want. Hit the run button. You can even save it and share that with your friends, like JS Fidel
Oh, that's cool.
does.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's really cool. So I don't have to download anything. I don't have to install anything. I can
No, no,
literally
no.
just edit in my
Just
browser.
to get a test and start using it, just go to the playground. That's enough.
Okay. So Carl, your goal is to make something with the MS Dev Show logo in it, and then we can put it in the show notes.
I would love to see
And-
MS Dev Show 3D logo or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, Carl, what's ETA on that?
It's already done. Just consider it done.
He's like, I'm going to kill you after the show. If you were near me, I would kill you now. Ah, okay. Should we move on?
Sure.
Looks like you have a dev tip of the week, Carl.
Yeah. So if you are into watching like live streams, on February 8th, Microsoft is live streaming a whole day of content. They're calling it the Windows Developer Day for the Creators Update. And there's going to be people like Kevin Gallo and people on the Windows engineering team that are going to show everybody what's the latest in Windows 10, APIs, tooling, all the way from to make consumer apps to more enterprise line of business apps. They mentioned even stuff like the latest advances for Bash. So I know it's going to be a pretty cool event. I've heard a few things that are going to be in there. So definitely interesting for those who like to keep up on the latest and greatest. And it's not just going to be all UWP stuff too. There's web stuff out there, and I recommend just checking it out.
That Bash stuff is freaking amazing, by the way. I can't believe how excited people. I was in a room full of people with Macs, and I said, "Hey, what and listen, I have a Mac too. I use everything. I usually use Windows. I prefer Windows, but I said, what are you guys using a Mac for?" And they threw out a couple of use cases. I'm like, you can do all that on the PC, and I showed them the Bash shell, and they're like, "Whoa!" They're like, "How does that work?" And then I actually showed them our copy or our episode on the Bash shell, and they were like they're all converts, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna go ask for PCs." They wanted to get the Surface Book. Like Bash it's going to sell developer machines. It's just that was just awesome, and I'm excited for the upcoming features. I mean, there were only a couple things in there were kind of a hassle, but now I think we talked about in a different episode where you can actually launch like Windows executables from Bash now. They're just making that experience more and more seamless, and it's just going to make Windows obviously the best choice for development, which is super exciting to me. Okay, David. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to remind everybody that the date was February 8th.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, David, you know the drill with this game. You need to pick a number between 1 and 4 inclusive. And then you can tell me.
4, sorry.
Okay. Would you rather be covered in itchy scabs or have popcorn shells stuck in between every tooth?
Oh, popcorn.
Okay. that makes sense. And I guess it doesn't say whether or not you can remove them, though. Either way.
I'll take number 1, Jason.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to cross this off so I don't do it again. Okay. Number 1. Would you rather put on a pair of shoes filled with duck droppings or put on a hat full of raw eggs?
Raw eggs sound a lot more sanitary than duck droppings.
Tend to agree.
Yeah. It doesn't say you have to wear the shoes forever, though. Maybe you could wear socks, though. Then maybe, yeah, but then your shoes are ruined, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Although it doesn't say they're your shoes. I don't know. We need to have like the author of this game.
Well, as long as they're your shoes, Jason.
Yeah, as long as they're my shoes. Thanks, Carl. Okay, David, where can people find you? Actually, where can they find Babylon.js is probably an even better question at this point.
So Babylon.js, it's easy, babylon.js.com.
Okay.
And for me, you just can go to Twitter. My handle is Deltakosh, Deltakosh.
Perfect. And Carl, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Carl Schweitzer.
And I'm Jason Young. You can find me at ytechie.com or on Twitter at twitter.com/ytechie. So David, thank you so much for coming on and talking about Babylon.js. And I'm sure
Thank you, guys.
And I'm sure we'll talk to you again about the next thing that you're working on.